All right, if we're talking about circumference and arc length, distance around a circle, 90 is how many degrees? That's what we've been doing, is how many degrees we have on the circle. This is going to be talking about how long it is around the circle. Not degrees anymore, distance. You've got two formulas you can use, 2 pi r or pi times d. Why are these two things the same?
Because one is diameter and 2 times the radius would be the diameter.
If I take 2 times r, that's going to be equal to the d, the diameter. All right, so 2 pi r and pi times d are the same. You can use whichever formula you want. Most of the time, people use the 2 pi r, but that's up to you. So if I want to do this first one right here, what is it giving me, radius or diameter? Radius. So I would probably use the radius formula, 2 pi r. So that's 2 pi 6. I'm just going to type that in the calculator and get.
I got 37.7.
All right, so 37.7. If I do this one,
You do the diameter.
I would probably do the pi times d just because it gave me the diameter.
You'll get 40.8.
So that would be pi times 13, you said 40.8.
Yes, sir.
All right. Are there any problems doing that right there?
Hey, how you put everything? 2 pi. I put the 2.14.
It should have a pi button on the calculator.
You can hit second.
Hit second,
It's
and then
above,
Below clear.
it's below.
So if you hit second and the pi button, it'll do it for you and then work it out. All right, I want to look at these bottom ones though. When we do that, get to the EOCT, a lot of times they're going to want the exact answer. They won't say exact answer, but that's what they want. And the way you know it's exact is because of the way the answers look, and it'll make more sense here in a second. What are they giving me on that 22?
A diameter.
A diameter. So if I use the diameter formula, it's pi times d. Well, that's going to be pi times 22. Your answer is 22 pi.
So that's it.
That's it. If it's exact, the pi will be left alone. Do not type it on the calculator. Do not type 3.14. Leave it alone. You're working the numbers only if it's an exact answer.
So like with that,
If I'm going to the second one,
14 pi.
2 pi r, because it gives me the radius. 2 pi 7. All I'm concerned about
Is the
is
number.
the 2 and the 7. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 pi, you got your answer. All right, circumference is all the way around the circle. All right, the distance all the way around. Arc length is one part of the circle. So if I'm talking about arc length, I'm talking about how far is it from A to B, distance-wise, not degree-wise. Everything we've done before has been degrees. This is going to be distance-wise. All right, the 3 different formulas. If it asks you or talks about finding something other than arc length, we're going to use this top formula up here. The arc length, which is the part of the circle, goes over 2 pi r. What is 2 pi r? What is 2 pi r?
2 times the radius.
What is it? What is 2 pi r?
Circumference.
It's the circumference. Arc length is the part. 2 pi r is the whole thing. If you can remember that, you should be able to set these up. Arc length is the part of the circle. 2 pi r is the whole thing. The measure of AB, that's the degrees that we've been doing so far. Degrees always goes over 360 every single time. So, small part of the circle goes on the top. Total circumference, total distance goes on the bottom. The small degrees goes on the top, over 360. Now that's for any other question that besides arc length. If it says find arc length, I want to use this one because it's faster. You do the degree over 360 times 2 pi r. This is the portion of the circle in degrees times the distance of the whole circle. All right. The EOC version is going to look like this, which is the same thing as what I've got right above it. Remember what does theta mean?
The radius, the whole.
No, theta. This little symbol right here.
Circle.
What does it mean? It would be a shame if y'all paid attention. That's an angle, degrees. Theta is talking about angles, degrees. So 2 pi r is my distance. Theta, the degree over 360, is the same as that, just written a little bit different way. But we need to understand, small part of the circle here lengthwise, total part of the circle, or total circle lengthwise. Degree, part, degree, total. If it says find arc length, that's going to be the degree over 360 times 2 pi r every time. Arc length is the degree over 360 times 2 pi r. What is the degree in this problem?
120.
And I need to double check and make sure that's the right one. It's asking me to find the length of BC. Does the 120 match that arc? Yes. So 120 is the right degree over 360 times 2 pi r. R in this case is
5.
So type that in the calculator. All right, so 120 over 360 times 2 pi 5, you get 10.5.
Yes, sir.
We good on that? All right, see if you can do that second one right there. All right.
I got the same number.
All right, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So the arc length, so the length of YZ is going to be the degree over 360, 60 over 360 times 2 pi r, which in this case is 10. You wind up with the exact same thing as the first one. Can anybody tell me why? What did we do to the angle?
We basically just, we
Right.
half.
You cut the angle in half
And double the radius.
and double the radius. So you divide by 2 and multiply by 2. What happens when you do that?
You get the
You
same
get the same thing. All right, can we do the third one over here?
Hey, what that mean?
Try.
Why is that?
All right, on this last one, this little curve thing right here is telling you that that angle
It's
is 210.
And the,
All right, so use that and see if we can find both of these right here. All right, if I want to find the length of BCD, rule is degree over 360 times 2 pi r. What's the degree for BCD?
210.
So 210 over 360 times 2 pi
7.
7, because 7 is my radius. You get 25.7. Is that right? All right, so when I go to length of BD,
You're going to subtract 210 by 360.
all right, first thing I need to realize is BD is up here. I need the degree that matches that. Well, if 210 is all of this down here, 360 minus 210 tells me that I'm working with 150 degrees. So 150 over 360 times 2 pi 7, and you get 18.
43.
All right, does it make sense that that answer is smaller than the first one? Why?
Because it's a smaller arc.
The degree is smaller, so the length is going to be smaller. So base it on degrees, you can tell which answer is supposed to be bigger than the other. All right, any questions there? This one asked me for arc measure. Got that little M in front, so it's talking about arc measure. When it says something else other than arc length, I'm going to go back to this proportion here. Remember, arc length, that's the part of the circle distance-wise. 2 pi r is the total distance. Where does the degree always go? On top of 360, every single time. Well, in this case, I'm looking for the degree. All right? So I can automatically, if you want to put the X there, some people like to do the measure of RS. I don't care, whatever works for you. It may be easier to put the X in there. All right? Arc length, remember, is the distance on the outside. Which one is the distance on the outside? 38. Over 2 pi r, which in this case is 2 pi 12. So there would be my proportion that I'm going to set up.
Just plug that up.
All right. How do I solve every proportion ever? What do? If I gave you this right here and said x over 3 equals 5 over 15.
Cross multiply.
Cross multiply. So I'm going to cross multiply by right here, but before we do it, The only thing I really got to worry about is this 360. So I'm going to cross multiply 360 times all of that stuff that's already there, and that'll give me my answer. So type that in right there.
Yeah.
181.4 equals the measure of RS. So the degrees that we're talking about would be 181.4. On the first one, again, it's asking for measure or anything other than arc length. I'm going to do the proportion. So arc length over circumference, the small part over the total, equals the degree over 360. On these, we can just cross multiply the 360. And y'all said that was 81.9. Most people were pretty good on that one that I saw. The second one we kind of messed up a little bit because we did this. We said 15 over 2 pi 16. And that's wrong because 16 is not the radius. What is 16?
That's the diameter.
So if you want to do the radius, you need to say that's going to be 16 divided by 2 and use 8. Could you use pi times 16?
Yeah.
Sure. All right. The formula says 2 pi r, so normally we just leave it as 2 pi r. Make sure you plug in the radius instead of diameter. The measure of WZ goes over 360. Do my cross multiplying. How much was that one?
107.4.
All right. So, if it asks me to find circumference, well, I know circumference is 2 pi r, right? So I would need to find the radius, right? If I have the radius, then I can find circumference. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Right. So sometimes people want to solve for the radius and then do all that. I think it's easier if we just recognize C is equal to 2 pi r, right? Take out 2 pi r and put in the C. Since that's what I'm looking for, I take out the 2 pi r, I replace it with C because those two things are the same. It makes the proportion a lot easier to work with. Arc length, where does the arc length always come from? The outside part of the circle. So that's 4 over C equals degree over 360. And now you have a very simple proportion you can solve. All right, so I would cross multiply and get 60C equals 4 times 360.
The thing is, I just
Is that the 1440?
1440, and you get 24. 240.
And I had asked Rob to do that.
24?
All right, that's
All right, again, if it says find circumference, I know that circumference is that, so I'm going to take and replace that. So arc length is now over C, and the measure is over 360. Length is 11.2 over C.
103
103 over 360. Here's the thing. Where does the degree always go?
over 360.
So that part should never be a problem.
It's actually not that hard.
And when the outside arc always goes on the top. It's an easy process of setting it up. So 103C
equals
4,032.
4,032.
Yeah.
And C equals 39.1.